We begin tonight in Gisborne or not, as the case may be, because the main route to and from the city from the North State Highway 2 between Gisborne and Opotiki has been cut off after thousands of cubic metres of earth and rock tumbled onto the road quite spectacularly. It could take more than a week to remove the slip, adding hours of travel time for motorists forced to use the East Cape instead. That's through Tolaga Bay, Ruatoria, Tokomaru Bay and so on. Stunning to visit, yes, but as a freight route, problematically slow. Unlike the closure of the Manawatu Gorge, Plan B here really isn't an answer at all. This will come at a cost for one of the country's largest fruit and vegetable growing regions, which relies on the shorter route to get produce around the country while it's still fresh. Eva Corlett reports.
That's the sound of 7,000 cubic metres of stone bowling its way down the bank and flattening a yellow road barrier before settling in an enormous dusty heap across the 2 lanes of State Highway 2. A motorist, Michael Tabudravu, who was just a few metres away, filmed it happening yesterday afternoon.
I filmed a couple of videos. On the first one, it was like a little slip and the little rock almost hit me, so I ran out of the way. And then the big one came down and it was pretty loud. I didn't find it that scary. It was more of like an adrenaline rush, I reckon. Yeah, just heaps of rocks coming down everywhere, like a river.
The Waiueka Gorge is notorious for its big slips that cause roadblocks, some for weeks or months at a time. The alternative route from Gisborne to Opotiki involves a 5-hour journey around the East Cape, more than double the usual 2 hours. For growers in the region, it's a major headache. The chief executive of Leaderbrand Produce Gisborne, Richard Burke, says the company normally uses the road up to 5 times a day. Mr Burke says Leaderbrand brings produce in from across the region and then it heads to distribution centres in Auckland and Palmerston North.
The Auckland leg of the trip, which is the biggest market, requires us to go around through Napier and up, and there's an extra cost in that, but right now the Napier Road is not in good shape either. You know, there's been quite a lot of weather events south of Gisborne as well as in Gisborne, and the road in that direction is not overly stable either and certainly carries more risk for us.
Mr Burke says that's a problem not only for his company but its customers who suffer delays or delivery cancellations.
It's one of the things you face when you do business in the region, and you know there's a big push to increase the productivity of the regions, but these are the things that really make that job difficult.
He says it's a regional issue that requires imagination.
We've got to look at all options with a blank piece of paper and go, what is it going to take? Because we can continue to look at repairing this, but at the end of the day, look at the Manawatu Gorge, which they've pulled the pin on or whatever they're at with that. If that happens to us with the Waiueka Gorge, that's pretty serious for us as a region. So I think we've really got to look at how secure that link is and what it means for the region.
And growers aren't the only ones worried. The Mayor of Opotiki, John Forbes, says the road closure can hinder medical treatment.
Things like specialised dialysis and that kind of stuff from Gisborne, who would normally travel either to Waikato Hospital in Hamilton or to some of the tertiary specialist services in Auckland. The extra drive to go around East Cape can be really trying, especially for people that are unwell and that are suffering. So those extra distances can be quite significant.
Mr Forbes says the gorge is an important access route and needs to be in a condition that, if slips do happen, it's closed for a matter of hours, not days. The Transport Agency's Mark Owen says crews are doing everything they can to get the road open, but it's a difficult environment.
Particularly in this area where there's a long gorge, lots of high, steep mountains or hills next to the road, which is next to the river. It's a very challenging road environment, and so we just need to assess it and make sure we can make it as safe as possible.
Mr Owen says building a new road in the area would be a challenge given the length of the network and terrain. He says a similar-sized slip last year took 9 days to clear. Drivers are being warned to take extra care on detours via Napier this week because of forecast ice and snow. Mō te hōtaka o te ahiahi nei, ko Eva Corlett tēnei.